My name is Francisca Kakra Forson and you're watching Joy News Today. Pressure group Citizen Ghana Movement has sued the Power Minister, the Attorney General and the Speaker of Parliament over the controversial Ameri deal to augment the country's electricity supply. Investigations by two Norwegian journalists have revealed the country may have been shortchanged in the power deal, with media reports suggesting that the figure may have been inflated by as much as $300 million. The story first published in a Norwegian newspaper said Ghana is paying $510 million for 10 power turbines when the market value of the turbines is $220 million. The issue has raised public outcry, with many criticizing the Power Ministry, Parliament, among others, for doing a shoddy work on the deal. Nana Kwesi Ewua is with Citizen Ghana Movement. He joins us via Skype to tell us more about what the group is seeking in this suit. Well, here's what he said earlier on Joy News desk.
Which guarantees the fundamental human right to information. Now, as you know, since Monday, 14 December, there was a story published by a Norwegian tabloid concerning the Ameri contract that the government of Ghana entered into with Africa and Middle East Resources International, which is Ameri Energy. And in reaction to that, the Power Ministry issued a statement ostensibly to answer to some of the issues that were raised in that report. That statement, unfortunately, begged more questions than it sought to offer answers to the issues raised. Also, you have the African Center for Energy and Policy also issuing a statement reacting in detail to the Power Minister's statement. You also have Ameri having issued a statement on the matter. Now, for us as citizens, there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of controversy, there's a lot of brouhaha concerning this Ameri contract.
Why else do you also bring in the Attorney General, for instance? If
you realize, under Article 88 of the Constitution, the Attorney General, in such matters, the Attorney General is made a nominal defendant.
Okay.
The Attorney General is made a nominal defendant because this is primarily a suit against the state, because these are state institutions involved, government institutions involved.
Okay, so now you tell us now that you want to do all this so that you get as much access to information as possible to help you form a judgment. So what next? You form the judgment, and then what?
Well, then if we have those the information we are looking for, we go through them and analyze them, and we feel that we come to a conclusion that, well, all this brouhaha is much ado about nothing, or then we just leave it as it is. Otherwise, if there are issues after analyzing the information that we eventually get from the court, and we need to take further steps, we will do that. It needs to be mentioned that we believe that this action that we brought in court should have been championed by the media, because the media has been touted widely as the fourth estate of the realm, charged with the responsibility of holding government and leaders accountable.
Away from that, it took the intervention of the police on Wednesday afternoon to restore calm at the headquarters of the opposition New Patriotic Party after a protest by supporters turned violent. The party sympathizers were demonstrating against a meeting by the National Executive Committee over the recent parliamentary primaries in the Klote Kole constituency of the Greater Accra region. We're joined on the telephone now by Accra Region Police PRO ASP Ifia Tinge. Thank you very much, madam, for joining us. Now, we understand the police have taken over security at the NPP headquarters. What does that mean?
Hello, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, that was yesterday, around 3:30 p.m. The police had information that some disturbances were going on at the New Patriotic Party. So immediately the regional command proceeded to the NPP headquarters, and by the time we arrived at the scene, actually you can see that there were no people around for us to see or confirm that, yes, something of disturbances of that nature had occurred. So we quickly had to take intelligence on ground or gather information as to whether the information had was true. So in the process, we were fortunate enough to have also secured some pictures or videos that indicated that, yes, there was some violence that took place. So even at the time when the police was trying to even gather intelligence and also gather some information on the ground, then we also had the information from the Nima division that somebody had come to report that he was at the scene, his car was parked very close, right on the road, when some people suspected to be members of the new Patriotic Party came out from their premises and came to damage the vehicle, attack them in the process. So we also issued a medical form to him that is procedural for him to also attend hospital. And based on the evidence of pictures or videos that we had, we were able to identify certain people who had probably engaged themselves directly in this kind of violence. So the regional command formally wrote to the NPP, that's the party, through the general secretary to help us produce the persons we have identified already for us to continue with our investigation. So that is it. So based on what happened, in order to forestall the situation and also to ensure that peace prevails in that jurisdiction, there was a need that we provide police presence to forestall any kind of unforeseen circumstance.
For how long will the police be there?
As and when we believe it is necessary for us to be there, and when we evaluate the situation and we realize that it is enough for us to live there, we shall do so.
Now, you talk about identifying certain people. Are you identifying them as suspects, and have you been able to arrest anybody in connection with this violence you tell us about?
Yes, that is why I said that we have written officially to the party for them to produce those persons, because we strongly believe that they were persons who came out of the premises to met out the violence to the complainants we had. And also, we know that we have that information that they belong to the party. So
who are these people, right. ASP? Who are these people?
That is why I'm saying that we do not know them, but we have identified them on camera and also by pictures. So we have written to them to formally produce those people for us to begin our investigation.
All right, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much, ASP Ifya Tenges with the police PRO. We are staying with the new Patriotic Party because the National Council has appointed former National Chairman Peter McMenu to lead the party's 2016 campaign team. McMenu, his appointment was made at a crucial meeting of National Council members on Wednesday. The party's flag bearer, Nane Kufuor-Addo, nominated McMenu for the council's endorsement. Mr. McMenu has been leading the party's electoral reform agenda, working closely with the Electoral Commission. Also on the team is MP for Okre and former General Secretary Dan Botwe. Now, analyzing the NPP campaign team, political scientist Dr. Ransford Jampo says it is a galaxy of stars.
I will tell you, a galaxy of political stars. I mean, people who have carved a niche for themselves, maybe apart from Ken Okoyata, who is his own as a professional business person. I think the rest are people who have achieved a lot and carved a niche for themselves and in Ghana's political landscape. And I believe they are competent enough to be able to help Nana Addo prosecute his campaign. But like rightly indicated, sometimes people who are good in themselves, people who have made it on their own, if you assemble them together, it becomes difficult for them to see who is heading and who must play an ancillary role, who will play a core role, and who can help in the peripheral of things. And so how they are able to gel, how they are able to coordinate activities, how they are able to all focus their eye on the ultimate objective of seeking to capture political power will be critical. In my view, I think they all can do it, they all can lead and all that. So it's important that they all put their efforts together and focus on the ultimate objective of capturing political power. If they are able to do this, then it will be good for them. Otherwise, then there is always a tendency for one to assemble the best crop of people, and yet with lack of coordination and understanding, then they may tend to achieve that.
Dr. Jampo says he disagrees with the NPP's decision to suspend Paul Afoko, Sammy Crab and Kwabena Japan. He suggests all those suspended be strictly managed.
I completely disagree with the sanctions that have been placed on them, and I've said it at several forums. But it seems, well, the NPP knows what is best for them, and I don't want to also pretend to be wiser than them. But in my view, like rightly indicated, in politics, you always have people who are loud, and the hawks and all that. These people are always heard, and they are always heard being opinionated on issues and all that. And then you have also people you refer to as a silent majority. There are people who don't talk, but they may favor one cause or the other. My point is that without any empirical study, you may not be able to know whether Afoko and Kwabena Japan have also majority of supporters behind them or not. But my view is that definitely they may have some following behind them. And given what has happened to them, there is a likelihood that they may not even come up to talk and all that. And when that happens, in the coming election, it will be difficult for them to vote for the NDC, that I must say. But it would also be difficult for them to also vote for their own party, given what may have happened to the people that they look up to. And so my point is that a bird can fly with one wing, but it will not go far. A bird must fly with both wings. And so they have been sanctioned. Now everybody knows that there is power in the party, and the whip will be cracked if you go afoul of the rules of the party. I mean, looking at the charges that were leveled against Japan and Afoko, clearly they may have run afoul of some of the party rules. They've been sanctioned. In my view, if they are recalled to come and play a rightful role in the campaign, it will help the party. There is always a way of managing conflict. There is always a way of keeping an eye of people who are perceived to hold different agenda from that of the common agenda that everybody looks up to. And so, in my view, if it is suspected that some people have agenda, you can manage them and you can keep an eye on them in such a way that you'll be able to tap some part of their potentials and harness those potentials for your own good, whilst at the same time keeping an eye on them to prevent them from undermining their.
Let's turn our attention to education now. And the curricula of tertiary institutions in Ghana is out of touch with the job market or the corporate world. What is taught in schools is a huge disconnect from the experiences and requirements needed by employers in the country. This is according to the Minister of Agriculture, Fifi Kwete. He says it's one of the major factors militating against the country's development. Kwabena Japan brings you a report.
I spent years in the university, and there were many times I asked myself, what am I actually doing in this place? Because I just couldn't see why I was spending time here. Because the truth of the matter is that some of the things I was being taught, I'm like, where am I ever going to use any of this stuff you are teaching me? And I'm right. I did.
Speaking at the last session of the Ministry of Education's Campus Connect at Ashesi University, the Agric Minister recounted his time as an economic student at the University of Ghana. He said there is an obsession with studying irrelevant courses, passing exams and receiving certificates to the detriment of acquiring real practical knowledge.
I spent years in the university, and there were many times I asked myself, what am I actually doing in this place? Because I just couldn't see why I was spending time here. Because the truth of the matter is that some of the things I was being taught, I'm like, where am I ever going to use any of this stuff you are teaching me? and I'm right. I did economics, University of Ghana, and later on had the privilege of working in an investment bank, and of course a greater privilege of working in the finance ministry. And I tell myself, 3 years studying economics in the University of Ghana, excuse me, it was an absolute waste of time. It was an absolute waste of time. Absolute lack of connectivity between what you were being taught and what the reality in the real world is. Yet, spent 3 years agonizing, waking up at dawn, doing all kinds of assignments and losing sleep.
Fifi Kwete is asking academics and students to use avenues such as Campus Connect to dialogue on changing the system. Founder of Ashesi University, Patrick Awuah, demanded a review of the private university affiliation process, arguing it may not be improving the quality of tertiary education as desired.
Private universities started. The law said you have to be affiliated for 4 years. Then the law was changed to 10 years. Then we were told that you had to have X, Y, and Z, your library, your campus, this and that. And we did those things, and then there's new things that come up. And each time those new things come up, we're told there hasn't been a change. Go look at the website. But the thing is, there's a new document on the website, right? So there have in fact been changes. It's an ongoing conversation. 2 weeks ago, there was a stakeholders meeting. I think at least 300 people showed up from the public universities, the polytechnics, private universities, and so on. And I asked this room of 300 quality assurance people in the entire higher ed sector in Ghana, how many of you, show of hands, think the affiliation system is improving quality? And not a single hand went up. I'll say again, 300 people, not a single hand went up. And then I asked, how many people think the affiliation system is actually hurting quality? And 3 hands went up. Now, so that does raise, I think, an important question about when we're spending so much time and so much money on a system where, whether it's public university or private university or polytechnics, the people in charge of quality assurance don't believe the system is actually helping quality, then the question must be asked, what is the point of it? And it's been going on for at least 20 years, I think. If I had to mention any one frustration, it's that the feedback is not actually listened to or implemented. And I think we need to get to a point where we go beyond talking to implementing.
Meanwhile, educationist Anis Hafa is worried that the disconnect between academia and industry is adversely affecting the development of the country. He was speaking earlier on News Desk.
Look at a typical person who's gone to the university. In the lower primary, they are sitting. Upper primary, they are sitting in classrooms. Junior high school, they are sitting in classrooms. Senior high school, they are sitting in classrooms. At the university level, they are still sitting in classrooms doing what? They are memorizing theories and then copying the theories back in exams for a certificate. These things are not working. One of the questions that we have to do is that, especially even at the university level, we have to now begin to reorient the mindsets of the lecturers and professors themselves. That we have to begin to add value to Ghana's natural resources. That is very, very important. If you look at someone who's been sitting for 16 years for a degree, and suddenly release them into industry, how on earth are they going to perform? If you look at the lack of productivity in the civil service, it comes from this culture of sitting behind a desk for 16 years and then release someone for the first time to begin to work. It doesn't work like that. We are creatures of habit. And unless we understand that we learn through our hands, we learn by adding value to what we have, we're going to be in the same decrepit situation that we have.
You're watching Joy News today with me, Francisca Kakra. So we'll take a short break. We've got more stories right after. Hello again to Joy News today. Now, executives of the Progressive Road Contractors Association are demanding over 100 million Ghana cedis they say is owed them by government. According to them, they have received threats on daily basis from their creditors and their properties have been seized. Joanna Ajay is president of the association and joins us live on the telephone with details. Now, Joanna, good afternoon to you and thank you for joining us on the news. This money owed you is as a result of contracts you executed for government. So what reasons have been given you for the non-payment?
At the moment, the money we are fighting for is 105 million Ghana cedis. And that is the work you've done for cocoa roads, cocoa growing area roads, and which are due to be paid. And they are not being paid up to now. And that is our worry.
Madam Joanna, how long ago did you do these cocoa roads and when exactly was the payment expected to be done?
You know, in construction, when you are giving the contract, you start with your project.
Hello? Hello, Madam Joanna. Okay, I think we've lost Madam Joanna on the telephone lines. We were speaking to her. She's the president of an association of road contractors, and they say government owes them about 100 million Ghana cedis. We're trying to get an understanding of when exactly the contract was given them and when they expected government to pay them. I understand she's on the telephone line. Thanks again for joining us, Madam Joanna. Now, can we get an understanding when you secured, or your association secured, the contract and when government was expected to pay?
Oh, the contract was secured, I think, 2011, around that period. And this amount, which is 105 million we are expecting, was a contract done. And
all right, looks like lots of trouble with the telephone lines, but we'll move on and see what happens with that story later. But securing jobs in Ghana's oil industry does not come easy. For many in the western regional capital, Takoradi, at the heart of the oil exploration, lack of jobs means worsening living conditions as cost of living continues to rise. In this edition of the 5-part report on 5 years of oil exploration, Joy News' Justice Baidu has been to Takoradi to meet those changing the narrative.
I grew up in this city and I know that people here, like everywhere else in Ghana, are resilient people who pull through the most difficult situations in life. But even by those standards, the stories that I've heard since I've been here these past few days are complaints of lack of jobs, increased rent, and overcrowding. So no matter how the impact of oil these past 5 years has been, it's obvious many people are yet to feel the trickle down.
My yet signed the city oil city, but be there if you remember my henna ye walk or my na ye oil room. She ye bread, I feel mum na yamano or for sure. 5 years in you who any improvement to be our tapadia. What henna brobo, henna sit some be a movie. Henna be in a school applications watch our brought and say for you.
Several people have secured direct jobs in Ghana's oil industry. Expectations of such jobs are still high, but there's only so much people who could land such jobs. For some young people in Takoradi, this is an opportunity to change the narrative.
My name is Miss Lodina Beidu. I'm the CEO of Perez Kitchen.
Lodina traveled to Britain when she left the University of Ghana in 2007. She hoped to earn a living there. In 2009, 2 years after Ghana's oil discovery, she came back home to work in Takrady, hoping to land a job in the new industry.
Because of this oil industry, there are a lot of companies like they are doing the port expansion, they are doing gas projects here and there. So when these projects came into it, this oil industry came to existence, it's helping some of us to get businesses within them.
The expansion of the local economy in Takrady means the Takrady port has to be expanded. So Lodina's company has won the contract to provide food for the company working on the €197 million project, for example.
Many of the people that I've spoken with in Takrady say, well, we wanted a job in the oil industry, but we do not have a job. And so we think that the Western region hasn't really benefited from the oil industry. What do you think about it?
A lot of people are going around saying that, but one thing I always tell people is, have you positioned yourself for that work you are looking for? They haven't positioned themselves.
It's about 5 years through the entire lifespan of the current Jubilee field. It appears quite obvious that some, like Lodina, are cashing in on the positives of the industry. But for others in Takrady, it's a continued wait for the promised goodies of an oil economy. Justice Beidu, Joy News, Takrady.
Let's return to an earlier story about executives of the Progressive Road Contractors Association. They are demanding over 100 million Ghana cedis from government for work they have done. We are joined on the telephone line again, hoping this time it will work better, by their president, Joanna Ejay. Good afternoon to you again, ma'am. Now, can we get understanding of our earlier conversation about how long government has owed you this money and perhaps your next line of action? So earlier you told us that it was in 2011 that you secured this contract to build, to construct the cocoa roads.
Yeah, started. Okay.
So you have completed the work and the money should have come when?
The money should have come since 2013. The last, the certificates were prepared, and then some of the certificates were paid in October 2013. And we were expecting the next payment in the following year, which is 2014 September, because since it is a cocoa road project, they always pay us from the cocoa duty money. So the next one which is to be paid is 2014 last year, and up to now we have not been paid.
And what has been what has been the explanation from government about the failure to pay?
I don't know even what to say. We've been pushing it all the time, and what they tell us that we have to wait. And it's waited and waited and waited, and up to now, we are still not being paid. So we went to the president in August, and then she also promised to pay us, because she told us she's spoken with Cocoa Marketing Board Chief Executive and then the Finance Minister. But Martha, as I'm talking, we are still waiting to be paid.
Now, tell us how life is, because we understand from some of your members that on a daily basis you receive threats, messages of threats from your creditors, and some of you's properties have been seized.
As I said earlier, because I'm being the head, people have been calling me, demanding when they are going to be paid. But someone called me about 2 months ago and said, Madam, you know that we are doing nothing about our payment. You are not pushing for our payment because you are executive of the association, and we think you are being paid. And that is the reason why we are not pushing for us to be paid. And if you don't take care, we are planning to kidnap you. And I said, oh, that would be interesting. I even want to go and hide somewhere. So if you come and kidnap me.
Did you report to the police the threats?
No, because I didn't take it any serious. There's no seriousness in this.
For you, madam. For you, madam, how much debts do you have for which you're receiving these threats of being kidnapped, etc.?
Twice, and that was about 2 months ago.
How much exactly do you owe your creditors, you personally?
Me, actually, for my creditors, I can't tell you now, but this particular Cocoa Road project, my certificate is not in because I have been paid work and pay long time, 2011. But this particular one, they don't owe me. The only thing they owe me is the retention money, which is just something peanut. But being a leader, and my association members and the contractors are not being paid, I have to fight for them.
All right, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much, Madam Midday, for speaking to us. She's president of a group of road contractors who claim government owes them. And we made attempts to reach the roads minister, but that was futile. You're watching Joy News today with me, Francisca Kakrafos. We'll take another break. We'll be back with more stories. Hello again, time now for business. Emmanuel joins me in the studio. Looks like the Agric Minister has been saying a lot.
Yes, you would agree with me that agriculture has contributed significantly to the country's GDP, whilst also contributing immensely to employment in the country. But unfortunately, there are some assertions that government has relegated agriculture to the background.
And he disagrees with that.
He disagrees. He says that it's contrary to those assertions, that the fact that the government has increased allocation this year to Agric.
Okay.
All right, so let's get the details on Joy Business. Agric Minister Fifi Kwete has debunked the assertions that budgetary allocations to the agricultural sector have been reducing over the years. According to him, allocation to the sector was increased by over 17 million cedis this year. He said this in response to concerns that government's commitment to the agric sector has dwindled. Fifi Kwete spoke to Joy Business at the National Agric Policy Forum.
The National Agricultural Policy Forum brought together farmers and other stakeholders to discuss ways of improving agricultural production in the country. The agric sector, which used to be the highest contributor to the country's GDP, has seen a decline from 30% to about 21%. Many stakeholders have partly blamed the shortfall in agricultural production on a reduction in government's allocation to the sector. Victoria Dongo is Programs Coordinator for the Peasant Farmers Association.
Specifically, we want to talk about the CADEP and the Malabo Declaration, both of which seek to develop and transform agriculture. Then we want to also link that to sustainable development, agriculture-related sustainable development goals, which is now the global development agenda, after the MDGs. So you see the link we are trying to make. We are looking at the CADEP, Agricultural Development Program, which is a CADEP. Then we are looking at the Malabo Declaration, which is a recommitment to the principles of the CADEP. Then we narrow down to investment in agriculture.
But addressing participants at the forum, Agric Minister Fifi Kwete indicated government makes a lot of indirect contributions towards agriculture.
When you have monies that go, for example, to the Ministry of Roads and Highways, under whose purview comes the construction of feeder roads and other roads in the country, that is some money that's affecting agriculture, even though you do not see it directly under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. When you see, for example, budget allocation going to the Ministry of Science Technology, a lot of our research institutions that affect agricultural transformation by way of research fall under the Ministry of Science and Technology. So when you do not see all that money coming to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and you do your analysis simply by limiting to what budget allocation is given to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, it tends to be pretty limiting.
Meanwhile, peasant farmers have impressed on governments the need for a paradigm shift in approaches to developing the sector.
Now, for the first time, the Ghana International Trade Fair, GITF, is to be held outside Accra in the northern regional capital, Tamale. The 20th edition of the fair, to be held between February 25 and March 7, 2016, has been launched in Accra. The Ghana International Trade Fair, GITF, provides an opportunity for local and foreign businesses to promote their products and services to potential clients. The 20th edition is under the theme 2 Decades in International Trade Fairs in Ghana, exploring business opportunities in the SADA zone of Ghana. The event is being organized by the Ghana Trade Fair Company in collaboration with the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority SADA. The board chairman of SADA, Suli Adams, explained why the event is being held in Tamale for the first time.
It is the bigger half of the country, which I heard the chief executive officer articulating earlier on, 54.4% of the surface area of Ghana, where little attention has been paid to business development and investment opportunities for generations. This is a waste and holds back the development of our country, something that we cannot afford, which means going forward, we need to look at that part of the country and see how best we can showcase it. That is just number one. Number two, it has unparalleled agricultural opportunities. 6 billion acres of suitable agricultural land for rain-fed irrigated farming. The land may seem unproductive in rain-fed conditions, but comes to life when irrigated. When irrigated, up to 60,000 square kilometers of land, suitable for rice, sugarcane, soya, and several other grains.
Over 500 exhibitors are expected to participate in the 20th edition of the Ghana International Trade Fair, which is slated for between 25th of February and the 7th of March 2016. That's it for business updates this afternoon. Join us again at 7 p.m. for more news in business and an analysis on the stock markets. My name is Emmanuel Riafi. Good afternoon.
Time now for sports with Benedict Owusu in the studio with us. Benedict, Hearts of Oak, what's up with them?
Well, Accra Hearts of Oak, they are in Libya, continuing with pre-season. The Premier League, we are not sure of when the league is starting, so they've had the opportunity to go to Libya and they are there. They'll be coming back on Saturday. They have a game to play tomorrow. Okay. So after that game, they'll come back to Accra. But we'll talk about Hearts of Oak in sports this afternoon, but we'll start with the Ghana Football Association and some issues regarding Techiman City. Well, what happened was that their case with War Africa United, which is now the Ghana Football Association Appeals Committee ruling delivered last year, November, has been dismissed. Now the application by the Techiman Bay side was seeking to invoke the review jurisdiction of the Appeals Committee of the GFA to review its decision, but the review committee going through the application decided to dismiss it. Owner of Techiman City, Mickey Charles, has been speaking to Joy Sports.
We only wrote to the Appeals Committee for an interpretation, and they have come out to explain to us. It still comes back to what we took to the Appeals Committee, and the Appeals Committee's decision still holds that there should be new composition of the Ethics Committee, which of course in our petition to the Appeals Committee, we told them we are not too sure whether the Ethics Committee's, petition to the Appeals Committee was a review or what it was. And so they've explained it to us. But my worry is where in the last paragraph of the decision, it was stated that whether wrongly or rightly referral to the Appeals Committee. I mean, in law, there is nothing like wrongly or rightly. That is where I have a problem. But all the same, in our petition, we said we're happy with the decision of the Appeals Committee asking the Ghana Football Association to go reconstitute a new Ethics Committee. So that is what we are waiting for.
So that was Teshman City owner Mickey Charles. Now, Accra Hearts Folk have defended their decision to continue pre-season training in Libya, insisting it's purely developmental rather than financially motivated. Coach Kenichi Yasuashi's side suffered a 3-0 defeat at the hands of Al-Atli on Tuesday. Now, some pundits have questioned the board's decision to expose their struggling side to a well-composed and informed Libyan side, but spokesperson of Parado insists the club took the right decision for sending the team to Libya.
Well, I don't think it is good a matter of we came here because of finances. If it's finances and we have our money, we could have stayed back home to continue with our training. It is just a matter of wanting to find an environment that we can improve upon what we have started. So coming here, Libya, most people think that because of the unrest, recent times of unrest, it would not be prudent to come here. But I can tell you for that if you come here, you look at the facilities. If you come here, you look at how the people love football. Nothing has changed Libya football. It is one of the appropriate places to continue to develop because the team we played, it's such a big team. Everything is in place for them. But I think that if you come here, you play them, there are a lot of useful lessons that you take away.
Entertainment news is brought to you by...
Let's find out what's happening in the world of entertainment. Gladys or Sarah Redu.
Hi, Franca.
Fabulous.
As usual, you're also looking very great.
Thank you. What's happening?
you know, no tribe is giving everybody in Ghana the opportunity to, say thank you, God, for bringing us this far throughout the entire year. And this has been pieced into a concert dubbed a United Praise Concert. And that is happening on the 24th. Well, they've been telling us more about that. We can listen to them.
No Tribe came out around 2006, 2007, and we've been battling around, making sure that we will do our best to make sure that we keep God's people on their feet all the time and also bring them before God. And after all the years, and then we should be able to have a...
Today, with this one cup 2 sausages, you can make the very best noodle.
We are saying thank you to God. We've been to other countries that they have at least a day, I say, thanking God, Thanksgiving time. So unfortunately, Ghana, we don't have anything like that. So No Tribe, the gospel musicians, will lead the whole nation to the presence of the Lord. They're saying, thank you, God.
Superintendent Kofi Sapon is coming. OJ is there. Joyce Blessing
is coming.
Joe Metal is
coming.
Everybody is.
Amachidede
is coming.
Yes. Now I was surprised. I was like, Amachidede, gospel. What brought Amachidede on? Sufre Wunyami. Selmoa. Say Yami pa. Okay, so Amachidede is doing that. He's coming one time, and also don't forget Asamoah, the baby jet. Oh, really? The baby jet. He's coming live. Yesterday we are with him, and he's awesome. Asamoah is more than ready.
Asamoah is most definitely more than ready and serious to happen on the 24th night, so do not miss out on that. Go say thank you to God. But of course, Uncle Ebo, we've been asking him, how does he see the gospel music industry? Well, this is what he had to say.
Evolving, we can do better, but it's evolving, and I think part of it has to do with our own misunderstanding of what creativity is and what, because I tell people that if you're a singer, if you are gifted, and it's a gift in the arts, you are first and foremost an entertainer before anything else. If you don't do the job of entertaining well, nothing you do matters. But when you entertain well, we will swallow any message you give us. I have seen people who don't drink singing beer advert songs. Why? Because they are catchy, the tune is nice, it is fun. And they are singing it. You understand me? So Christians ought to stop being afraid of entertainment. Because I take my cue from God himself, the creator. If God had asked us Christians to advise him on creation, would have asked him that this sky, you've wasted it. You know, every 10 minutes, every 30 minutes, let there be a sound effect. You know, lightning, grrr, then everybody looks up, Jesus saves. Then we write it up there. But what does God do? He just gives us the beauty of it. Let's master the arts. Let's master the art of entertaining. Let's give people a beautiful experience. They will swallow anything we give them.
Beautiful advice for our gospel artists. Be very artistic. Do not say God wasted the space. Right. Meanwhile, you know, Uncle White was over the weekend rewarded with excellence at the 2015 Millennium Excellence Awards, and he was recognized for his contribution to literature. Well, guess what? He says that he could have been rewarded for anything, but not literature. That is okay. Just listen to Uncle White speaking on that.
I didn't think I'll be recognized for literature. And for all kinds of things, but definitely not for literature.
Why?
Good question. Because I hadn't seen myself as a writer, yes. Playwright, yes. But to be honest with you, I didn't think I'll be recognized as such. But it is, make no mistake about it, it is nice that it came. You know, I am very happy about it. And what even makes it even more worthwhile is the joy it brings a lot of people.
It always is humbling to be recognized for your hard work, and I believe that is just what Unclable has gone into, right?
And thank you for your hard work.
Thank you for thanking me.
Yes, thanks, Gladys. And that's it for Entertainment News.
Entertainment News was brought.
And that's it for Joy News today, but you can go to myjoyonline.com for more news. Thanks very much for your company. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forsen. Bye-bye.